Natural selection deems that some individuals serve as a warning to others. Who are we to disagree? I've got 10 questions for you on the Darwin Awards, as picked by Patreon subscriber Earl Clark. This is Trivia with Buds. And welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. This is the daily pop culture trivia show that asks you different questions each and every day. Happy holidays, everybody. Is there snow by you? There's no snow in California, as there never really is, but maybe you got heaps of snow wherever you're at. I think a big blizzard just hit somewhere, didn't it? I don't know. I feel like I hear things. And maybe you're going sledding. Maybe you're going ice skating. Maybe you lighten those, apple pie smelling candles, incense and things. My mom used to burn like these little evergreen smelling sticks. I don't know what they were. She had them in like a little old tray, and she would stand them up like she was trying to make a fire, and she would just let one of those burn, and it would smell up the whole house around the holidays. But I do miss that smell. Get a little bit of it with the candles my family lights, but I do miss those little incense, those very deep pine wood smelling things. So maybe you got those going. Maybe you got some Christmas music going. It's already blasting on the radio if you listen to that. We put our tree up today. Actually, the elf on the shelf, Elvis, that's the name of our elf on the shelf. He did it for the kids. He just showed up today. We had like the tree set up for decorating, and we had him sitting there like, hey, I just set up this tree. Why don't you guys decorate it? So the kids love that. Last year, I had him in a ladder match with some wrestling figures. So he was at the top of the ladder holding like the Money in the Bank briefcase. So I got to think of some unique situations for him this year. If you have any ideas or stuff you've done with your own kids or family, let me know. I was thinking about having him in like a bloodstained shirt that says, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun. But I don't think my 4-year-old and 1-year-old would get that Bruce Willis Die Hard reference. I think it would go over their heads. Had some great parties this weekend. Holiday season is underway. Christmas parties already in full swing. I had one. It was a backyard party for like a couple getting married. We did rounds on topics they were into because they like playing trivia together. So we did rounds on like different cars and the 80s music that they liked and different movie soundtracks and things like that. And towards the end of the party, there were only like 30 people at this party. I realized that Jennifer Goodwin from Once Upon a Time, she plays Snow White on that show, and a million other things. She was the main character in Zootopia, and she was there. She was at the party, and she played the whole time. I didn't even realize it till the very end, so that was kind of cool. You never know who's going to be at these random backyard trivia parties in the LA area. And that same night, I had another party out in the Inland Empire, which is out towards where I live, east of LA. And we were doing some 90s song bingo, and it was like this family Christmas party. And all the people there that were 50 and over were like, what is this 90s crap? Like they didn't know anything about Wonderwall by Oasis, for example. But I had just made this 70s bingo music list, and I introduced that, and they like lost their minds. I don't know what disco music does to certain people, but it makes them start grooving. Like no matter what their age is, they're just like, oh yeah, this is baby making music. Let's have some fun. Today's episode is about people that tried grooving too hard in weird situations that led to their demise. It's the Darwin Awards, picked by Patreon subscriber Earl Clark. It's a pretty morbid episode, I'm going to warn you, because we're going to read the stories. I took like 10 random stories from their website, darwinawards.com. So if you want more of those or like those odd news tidbit stories, head over there, click away, have some fun. I couldn't really write trivia questions like about the actual story because nobody would know these specific stories. They're too random. So I wrote a question about a certain thing that had to do with the story. And if that sounds complicated, you'll see. Just listen. It's a fun episode. I think you'll dig it. Let's jump into those 10 stories and questions on the Darwin Awards right now. Here we go. All right, like I said in the intro, this is the Darwin Awards episode, and you are going to hear a little story, and then you're going to answer a question about something from that story. So here's question number 1 and story number 1. On July 22nd, 2018, in South Wales, a 58-year-old woman was run over by her Mazda CX-7 after she pulled over to check whether reusable shopping bags were in her trunk. That is unfortunate. In what country is Mazda based? That is your trivia question, number 1. In what country is Mazda based? Question number 1. Question and story number 2. Fun-loving Cody Horn's last act was to pilot a golf cart towed by a garden hose behind a vehicle on State Highway 4 east of Angels Camp in California. The golf cart swerved across the double yellow line and directly into the path of a Ford truck, causing a head-on collision that instantly killed the 28-year-old. What 90s sitcom featured a cousin named Cody who lived in a van in the driveway? That is the unfortunate story mixed with a sitcom trivia question. What 90s sitcom featured a cousin named Cody, which was the name of the guy, Cody Horn, who died in that story? Cody lived in a van in the driveway. What sitcom was that? Question and story number 3. In a new twist on Hold My Beer and Watch This, a teen handed Snapchat to a friend. With a whoop of glee, he leapt over a footbridge railing, intending to land dramatically on a parapet below. Unknown to the teen for his filming friend, the seemingly solid shade was flimsy gypsum board, and he crashed right through, falling 4 floors to his death. Okay, that is unfortunate, but who is the founder of Snapchat with the initials ES? Who is the co-founder of Snapchat with the initials ES? Number 4, a 47-year-old man attempted to leave his room by climbing down the Ethernet cable. He chose this they wrote it funny. He chose this router because his concerned mother had locked him in his room to prevent him from intoxicating himself. Being heavier than a few gigabytes, his weight was too much for the cable, and he crashed to the street from the 9th story apartment. Okay, how many kilobytes are in 1 gigabyte? That's your question for number 4. How many kilobytes are in 1 gigabyte? Question number 5, Richard Bull and his iPhone is who this story is about. Mr. Bull, 32, plugged his charger into an extension cord and rested the charger on his chest while he was at home in the bathtub. He received severe burns on his chest, arm, and hand while the charger touched the water in his West London home, which mattered little as he was already dead from heart failure. Okay, who had the song Bulls on Parade in 1996? So this guy's name was Richard Bull, and your question is, who had the song Bulls on Parade in 1996? Question number 6 coming up right now. Sydney Zelaya Gonzalez, who is 20, was pinning a king-size mattress to the top of a van with the weight of her body, intent on claiming the free curbside fine when her luck ran out. Perhaps the young woman was testing a physics theory and betting that friction would keep the two fixed in place. Alas, both of them slipped off the moving vehicle, and unfortunately, one of them did not bounce back. What year were Sleep Number beds founded in the U.S.? That company, Sleep Number. Was it 1960, 1987, or 2001? What year was Sleep Number founded? 1960, 1987, or 2001? Number 7, referred to as a distracted driver, Clifford Ray Jones, 58, was driving without pants, without seatbelt, and with a porno flick screening on his mobile device. Add a wide-open sunroof on a cold winter Sunday, and you have a recipe for disaster. He should have kept his hands on the wheel instead of the stick. Oh, that writing, so catty. In the wee hours at 3:40 a.m., Clifford's Toyota went out of control on the on-ramp to I-75. It rolled and crashed, ejaculating our hero through the sunroof in a spectacular climax to his life. What website recently banned Starbucks in their office after Starbucks banned the website from being streamed in their stores? What website recently banned Starbucks in their office after Starbucks banned the website from being streamed in their stores? Here's question number 8. A 23-year-old bar brawler who had been escorted out of the Turtle Club in Florida by a bouncer sneaked back in and leaped off a staircase aiming to kick at another man, but was killed when he landed on his head. What 80s wrestler appeared in the film Roadhouse as a villain? Number 8. What 80s wrestler appeared in the film Roadhouse as a villain? 2 questions left. Here's number 9. Apparently, a biology teacher named Lydia had been performing chemistry experiments in her free time and had some leftover noxious chemicals. It is still not entirely clear what the chemicals were, but 2 of the bottles were labeled diethol, ether, and methanol. Both highly flammable liquids. The former is also used as a sedative, so one explanation for their actions is that they felt dizzy from the ether vapors and thought it was a good idea to pour them in a nearby sewer. As it turns out, a good idea is definitely not a good idea. The cocktail of flammable substances in the enclosed space of the sewer caused an explosion so powerful that it launched the manhole cover into the air, decapitating the briefly surprised Lydia. Oh my God. Left without a head on her shoulders, she decided it was time to kick the bucket. In what movie would you find a character named Lydia Dietz? In what movie would you find a character named Lydia Dietz? And number 10, your last question and story from the Darwin Awards website. A Mexican jail guard died from an excess of zeal while supervising an inmate's conjugal visit. Raul Zarate Diaz was closely watching his charge from the roof of the prison when he tripped over an air vent, crashed through the skylight, and fell 23 feet to land beside the bed where the inmate and his wife were against all odds enjoying an intimate moment. Although filmed in Ohio, what state was the Shawshank prison supposed to be in the film? Question number 10. Although filmed in Ohio, what state was the Shawshank prison supposed to be in the film? All right, guys, those are my 10 very loosely related trivia questions about 10 crazy-ass deaths on the Darwin Awards website. We're going to go over the answers to those questions in just a second. All right, guys, hopefully you had some time to settle down from those crazy death stories on the first part of the episode. Here are the answers to the questions that I tied into the end of each story. Number 1, the question was, in what country is Mazda based? And the answer was Japan. That was the story about a lady running herself over with her car when she went to go check her shopping bags were in the trunk, and she was driving a Mazda. Mazda is based in Japan. Number 2 was about fun-loving Cody Horn, and he was trying to tow a golf cart behind a truck, I think, and he had a garden hose he was holding onto, and then he hit oncoming traffic. I took the name Cody and asked you a question about a sitcom. What 90s sitcom featured a cousin named Cody who lived in a van in the driveway that was Step by Step? Step by Step was the show. I used to love that show. Cody went on to be in some kickboxing movies, that actor. I forget his name. Number 3, in a new twist on Hold My Beer, Watch This, a teen handed Snapchat to a friend, then jumped to his death and fell through a bunch of crazy things that he thought would hold him up. Who is the co-founder of Snapchat with the initials ES? The answer is Evan Spiegel. Evan Spiegel. Number 4, a 47-year-old man attempted to leave his room by climbing down the Ethernet cable. This guy fell to his death as well. And I asked you the question, how many kilobytes are in 1 gigabyte? The answer is 1 million. 1 million kilobytes to a gigabyte. Number 5, Richard Bull had his phone in his bathtub and the charger touched the water and he had a heart attack and some burns. His name was Bull, so I asked you, who had the song Bulls on Parade in 1996? That was Rage Against the Machine. I remember watching that music video at my friend Mike Brady's house in Crestwood, Illinois. Right around that time, we were about 11. Number 6, Sydney Zelaya Gonzalez was trying to pin a mattress to the top of a car with her body and they both fell off. She died. What year did Sleep Number get introduced in the U.S. as a company? It was the middle choice of 1987, so not the 60s, not the 2000s, but 1987, Sleep Number. Number 7, referred to as a distracted driver. This guy was watching porn in his car and crashed and went through the sunroof. Starbucks banned what website from being streamed to their stores? So that website banned Starbucks as of January 1st in the office. It is YouPorn. YouPorn, which I guess is the most popular porn website, according to the article I read. I've never been to a porn website, so I don't know much about those. Number 8, a 23-year-old bar brawler who had been escorted out of the Turtle Club in Florida by a bouncer tried to sneak back in and do an action movie move where he jumped off and kicked a guy that he was trying to fight, but he landed on his head and died. What 80s wrestler appeared in the film Roadhouse as a villain? Terry Funk is that wrestler's name. He had curly hair. He's the tallest guy in the movie. He's one of like the villain's henchmen. And Terry Funk, he was also Chainsaw Charlie in the late 90s for the Attitude Era. In WWE, if you remember that. Had some classic hardcore matches with Cactus Jack as well in ECW and things like that. Number 9, apparently a biology teacher named Lydia had been doing these chemistry experiments and tried to pour some stuff down a sewer manhole cover, flew off, decapitated her. That was insane. That's probably the most insane story here. But her name was Lydia, and I asked you, what movie would you find a character named Lydia Dietz? The answer was Beetlejuice. which is a fun movie that I usually watch around the holidays. I don't think it's a holiday movie at all, but I feel like it's a good December movie. Beetlejuice. Number 10, a Mexican jail guard died from watching a couple in their conjugal visit. He fell through the skylight. And I asked you a question about prisons because of that little story. Although filmed in Ohio, what state was the Shawshank Prison supposed to be in the film? The answer was Maine. If you know Stephen King, you know most of his stuff takes place in Maine. And that show on Hulu that I already forgot the name of because it made me so mad. That was about Stephen King stories. We watched the whole season and almost nothing happens. I can't think of it. But it's all that takes place in Maine. All his stories are mostly in Maine. So that was your answer to the last question. And there they were. Crazy-ass deaths from the Darwin Awards website. Earl Clark, you have a twisted mind, my friend. But thanks for giving us a fun and unique category on today's show. I'm excited for the end of the year here, guys, and hope you are too. There's many great topics coming up on the show and lots of new guests on the horizon. If you want to be a guest on the show to promote anything you do, shoot me an email, ryanbuds@gmail.com. I'll do my best to get you on, work you into the show. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Again, if you have a last-minute holiday party, think of me coming to host some trivia, some bingo, some fun for you, your friends, your family, your coworkers, or if you just want some material, that's super doable too. Shoot me an email or go to my website, triviawithbuds.com. Start clicking around. You can host your own trivia party. It's a ton of fun. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for telling a friend, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Trivia with Buds. Cheers.